Hi, hello everybody. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here in Australia, and I would like to thank our organizers and also Australia for being such a wonderful host. I will gonna walk you through the whole process that took us to do the Strategy 2040. It's an exercise that if you were in the plenary just now, our DG Joseph Aschbacher has already hinted and explained a little bit, but I'm gonna tell you how we achieve it. To start, I want to say that space is not somewhere far away. Opposite to some of us that took a lot of time to come to Australia, sometimes space is closer than we think about it, right? Space is woven into the fabric of our daily lives. When the farmers decide to irrigate or harvest, they rely on satellites measuring the soil, predicting the rainfall. Then when plants want to land safely, when ships need to navigate, or when lorries need to deliver the food, everything depends on satellite navigations. Even the financial transactions, the weather forecast, and a lot of more things that rely on space. And space also protects us. Every time that there's a flood, wildfires, satellites can give us the first view and pictures that can help us guide the emergency response teams and saving lives. So space gives us perspective, detaching ourselves from where we are and let us see the bigger picture. But beyond that, it's a necessity for an economy, our security, our climate, and our future. So there's the case for Strategy 2040. We live in a time of changes. As we can see here, there's a big potential economically for space. McKinsey is predicting that 1.8 trillion of opportunity by 2035. The United States and by themselves invest more than half of the global public funding, but China and India are expanding rapidly, and around the world, new nations and private players are accelerating their ambitions. For us in Europe, this is both a challenge and an opportunity. To remain relevant and competitive, we need a long-term thinking, and this is why we built Strategy 2040. We define a vision for the next 15 years, and one will say, why 15 years? Because it gives us enough distance to start planning, to think of the long term, but at the same time, it's close enough that we can see the results coming to us. And we did it by embracing Europe's diversity. ESA is unlike any other organization, space agency in the world. We have 23 member states that mean different histories, industries, languages, ambitions. And at first glance, this might be very complex. How do you manage what Germany wants, that what Luxembourg wants, what Poland wants, or what Greece wants? We have different space industries, different political priorities, and different areas of expertise. A lot of people will see this as an obstacle, but in ESA we see this as one of our greatest strengths. Every member state, larger or smaller, adds a unique piece of the European space mosaic, and this is something that it is incredible. But that's not all. To add complexity, we have 11 directorates. ESA is one of the few space organizations that tackles all the range of space across the globe, and we have from exploration to telecommunications, from Earth observation to space safety. And at the same time, in each directorate, they have different priorities, they have their own culture, their mission focus, their own passions, and you want to add a little bit more to the mix, we're also working with the European Union on programs like Copernicus and IRIS². So the picture becomes very complex. So how do we embrace this diversity in the Strategy 2040? This is something that we were thinking and trying to figure it out. The solution is making sure that the voices are heard. Every directorate contribute. Every member state had the chance to shape the outcome through consultations and workshops. We were decided very early that it is important to include the young generation. So during the sessions that we have for foresight, one of the young ESA staff, that it is an organization inside of ESA comprising of people under 37, let's call it our own SGAC, stand up and tell us, if this is about 2040, then it's about us, because we will have to deliver it. And this was a very important moment to capture it. We couldn't be just deciding something for them to take in it. They needed to believe in it, and they needed to be working onto that. So it was not a top-down exercise. It was an exercise of interactions, of discussions, and also co-creation. little by little, layer by layer, we built something that is a shared vision that everybody could see themselves in it. Now, this has been a 2-year journey of collaboration and insight. And we started at the foundations. This is a photo of the signing of ESA. We needed to look inwards. We needed to see our past strategies, what has worked, where we fell short, where we have made mistakes, but where we have also succeeded. So we first started with a SWOT analysis. Many of you know the SWOT analysis. We took a look at the strengths of the agency, also our weaknesses, the opportunities in the space sector, not only in Europe, but across the world, and the risks that we must navigate. It was a very strong mirror in front of us, and it helped us understand not just where we are, but where we can be. Now, as I was talking about our member states, they all have their own strategies, they all have their own visions, and what we decided to do was also sit down and taking a look at what they were presenting, how they were seeing the space evolution, what they wanted to achieve. And then at the end of the day, we had to weave all of these threads into a coherent European tapestry. After that, we look outward. We turn to the partners, to people around the world that are doing a lot of interesting things, NASA, JAXA, ISRO, China, just to name a few of them. And we took a look at their strategies, and all of them had lessons for us. How they govern complex programs, how they drive innovation, how they engage with the industry. And by comparing ourselves internationally, we could see where Europe already leads, where we're at risk of failing behind, and where we can collaborate. But space, as I mentioned, it is not about isolation. We need to think about how it affects our daily lives. So we start to check into the mega trends shaping the decades ahead. So we examine the geopolitical shifts, the climate emergency, the rapid technological disruptions of AI and quantum. Something that it is in a lot of the news, it is also the demographic changes. This is going to affect a lot of how we see and how we work. And we took a look into reports of the European Union, OECD, United Nations, World Economic Forum, and all of that fill into our pot and allows us to see how everything can be related. So because we know that space is not in isolation, and it's going to be shaped by a lot of global forces around it, from energy markets to geopolitics. And coming back to one of the most powerful part of this, the people. We were very, very impressed by the comments that we get received from young people, from experienced people, from our partners, and that we were really sure that by discussing, by talking, and more importantly, by listening, we're building something bigger than just one directorate, one country, or one program. At the end of these 2 years, we came out with a shared vision, ESA Strategy 2040. If you want to download it, you can scan that QR code. And at the core of it lies something that it is the core principle. Space must serve society. And to make it true, we came with 5 long-term interdependent goals. The first of one, it is protecting our planet and climate. We don't see that just as the weather here. We're talking about 3 different layers. The first one, it is about address the climate change, where we're living, our ecosystems. Then we go a little bit above, and it is about the circular economy, the zero debris. If we're launching more rockets, if we're launching more satellites, the orbit around us starts to be becoming very, very crowded. So we need to know how we can take a look at that. And this can also lead to new opportunities like circular economy, how we can manage much better the resources in space. And then what we're thinking ahead was also about protecting our planet in a planetary defense. So you know about a mission we're going to be doing that it is called Ramses with our colleagues of JAXA. We're also talking about space weather. Events like solar flares can disrupt our satellites. And this is important for us to have a little bit of warning to that. If we're not able to protect our planet, everything else starts to become a little bit different from a space. The second one that we went was about explore and discover. This is based on certain parts of our convention, that it was about the scientific principle, but also about exploration and the curiosity of human nature. So we take the 2 different paths here. One of them is how we can unravel our planet and the universe. Those mysteries, we want to understand about gravitational waves, we want to know if there's life in other planets, but at the same time we want to see where humans can go, where we can explore, and that is done with the exploration in Leo, Moon, Mars, and the outside planets. After that, we were thinking about how we can strengthen our autonomy and resilience in Europe. Our DG just mentioned a little bit ago about our launcher crisis, and this was something that has stayed with us. You cannot be a space power, you cannot play if you cannot access space. So for us, one of the priorities is ensure European access to space. It is not just reaching space, but it is how we transport things into space and how we can innovate. The second one, and it is also touching a lot into our citizens, it's about prediction and management of disasters from space. We cannot dream, we cannot develop our economy if our citizens are not safe. And we believe that developing these capacities from space can give us an edge. The third one, it is about developing the next generation of PNT, connectivity, and Earth observation satellites. And this is something that we're already way ahead, and we want to be able to make it even better, integrate much better. And we're working this very closely with our colleagues in the European Union. Then we want to boost European growth and competitiveness. We have here 4 different points. The first one, it is strengthening industrial capacity and unlocking new markets. We have been seeing how amazing companies are here in Sydney. We're seeing a lot of people in the stand presenting new innovation. What we want to do, it is continue to do that. We have a great industrial capacity in Europe. We want to boost it. We want to present new opportunities. And we want to expand to different markets, markets that are generally not considered of space, but space touches them. Then what we're also seeing, it is about how we can position Europe as a commercial hub. This has been a little bit of a challenge. In the past, I used to work a lot with venture capital, and something that stuck to me was that Europeans invest for wealth preservations, while in other places like America, they invest from wealth generation. And this is very telling of how we want to do. If we want to become a center to developing things, what we need to do, it is encourage people to invest, to grow. And that's how we do that, by attracting the companies, by attracting the opportunities. But also we need to be able to attract talent. We need to bring engineers, scientists, but also we need to consider other aspects that many times we don't consider about space. Business, banking, and many, many more, right? But not just that. What we want to do is spearhead the development of cutting-edge European technologies. Europe has been great at developing a lot of initial capabilities and technologies, but sometimes we're lacking the power and the strength to do the next step, that it is industrializing it. I was joking with somebody and I told them, we are great at making parmigiano. It is a traditional cheese, it's very good, but you don't get it everywhere in the world. You need to get a specific rate. But you can get the Kraft singles in every burger around the world. So this is the difference between something that is more traditional, something that goes above and beyond. And this is something that we need to take a look about how space can be treated. It's not just a niche that it is very traditional. If we want to really expand to the next level, we need to start thinking about how these technologies go into the next level, how we can really become from 1 to 100 or 1,000. Then the last one that we have, it is called Inspire Europe. And for us, it is very important to consider this because we are, as I was saying, a very diverse continent. We have multiple players, we have multiple languages, and we also have a complex history. Many of us were friends, foes, lovers, enemies. So all of this is part of who we are in Europe. But what we have been doing in the last decades is unite ourselves. And we think that we can do the same and strengthening that in Europe. So we're working very hard to unite the European space ecosystem, to work together. The other one that we have, it is inspire the future generations. I mentioned already about talking with the young generations about if you want to achieve something by 2040, we need to kind of include the young generations. But what about even younger generations? Many times you must have known a lot of kids now that they don't want to be astronauts, they don't want to be astronomers, they want to be a TikTok dancers, or they want to be doing streamers. This is good, but I think that what's happening is that they're missing the dream. There was a very interesting article that was saying cyberspace is killing space as an inspiration for people. And I think that space can be something amazing. Many of us had posters when we were growing up of the Apollo rockets, of nebulas. There's so much in space that can inspire us. Today here we were listening about the natives, the first tribes here in Australia, and how much the stars were guiding them and inspiring them. So this is something we need to bring back to our people. And the last one, it is called, it's space diplomacy. We, as an organization, cannot do space diplomacy. We are an international organization, but we can become a tool for member states to go further, to kind of like share their messages and to open doors that space can open. Now, this was a great vision. We want to do this. But a strategy is nothing if you don't have action points. What's coming next? And then this is what we're going now, from vision to action. Here I put a word that it is CM25. Many of you will not know, but it is an internal term in the agency. CM represents Council at ministerial level. Every 3 years, our member states gather together and they decide what are the objectives and the funding that we're going to put into space for the upcoming 3 to 5 years. And then this has been helping us to build a little bit of the capabilities that we need. So what we're seeing this is that these ministerials are becoming stepping stones to help us do. We have a very important one this year in November. Germany is going to be our host, and we're very excited to see what we can put there. But then we have another one in CM28, 31, and the idea here it is that we consider all of these events as stepping stones that allows us to go into the next step. And what we're going to be doing, we're talking with our member states, we're talking with the industry, we're talking with our partners to see how we can shape it all together. Now, we believe at ESA that space has never been a solitary pursuit. It's engraved in our DNA. Since the beginning, we know that the progress comes with nations joined together. We share risks and we celebrate discoveries together. And with the Strategy 2040, ESA is stepping forward with this ambition, not to act alone, but to strengthen the global space community. And with that, I thank you, everybody. We're trying to elevate the future of Europe. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Hi, Herberto.
Hi, hello.
I'm wondering if you can elaborate a bit more around how you build capacity across different kinds of states in the different types of ESA programs and ESA strategies around not just enabling your prime industry, your prime contractors, but also emerging small startups, SMEs, to be able to actually hire the people beyond the technologists. So you've got your engineers, you've got your researchers, but also the supportive folks, your finance, your law, your business people that actually make it possible to have a sustainable space ecosystem across European countries.
Well, we actually, in Agenda 25 was the first strategy that our DG created. And then based on that, we created what it was the Commercialization Directorate. Geraldine Naya, it's our director there, and actually she's here in IAF because she's also vice president, and she's focusing also in how we can bring that together. And by doing this, we try to engage into what it is happening on the site, not the traditional space, right? We call it new space. I know it's an old term, but it's still how we call this new. So we're doing that. We're launching a lot of different initiatives to kind of like include the startups, little companies. So we're trying to see how we do that. It's a new world, and we're exploring, and it is exciting because we see a lot of this happening. We can also refer to the two last challenges that we have. One of them was the European Launcher Challenge, that was also a response to go into the different way of doing businesses and doing this kind of like a new innovation. And we have selected a couple of launchers to be able to prove that. And this is like we call a startups approach. We also have the LEO cargo return sample, that it is another proposal that we're having with different startups that are bringing this onto Earth.
Very nice presentation. Thank you so much. It's so great to see the European Union put forward this strategy. And as somebody who has been studying workforce challenges in the United States for the space sector, I was particularly happy to see that you put talent in as one of your clear areas. How are you planning to, if you could just give us a little bit of detail on how are you planning to attract talent, prepare people, to do all the wonderful things that you want to do through this strategy?
Perfect. Thanks so much. First of all, just a point to clarify, we are not a European Union. We're the European Space Agency. Because we also include the UK, Switzerland, and Norway that are also part of our member states. We work very closely with the European Union. Actually, we have a very good relationship, but we are different entities, just so everybody is aware of that. How are we doing it? Well, let's be honest, space is still very attractive. So we can attract a lot of great engineers and talent. It is out there, but we're also doing a strong emphasis on outreach. We have a new revamp of the communication that we're doing, and we're doing a really different way. And I think that we're doing great there. We're going to different job fairs. We also have in ESA what we call the education office, and what they do is they go from elementary school to higher levels to be able to educate and tell them how this is going. I was talking yesterday with one of my colleagues, and we have a really nice initiative. He was telling me that you come to the school, to the kids, and you teach them how to fly a satellite, and then they're able to take a photo from the satellite from their school. So this is something really exciting for the kids. Then we go into higher levels. We can do postdoc research openings there in ESA. Then we can also go to what we have, the European ESA young graduates. So that is after you finish school, you can work with us for 1 or 2 years, and you get an idea of what we're doing. The idea here is not to stay, but understand, and then you can go outside. We have opened a different approach that is also the junior professional program. And this is for people who are around 4 years of experience. So they're not so young, but not so experienced. So they can join with us, and they have the possibility to rotate into different departments, so they can gather experience, and then they can go and go beyond, right? Another aspect that we have, it is what we call the ESA transformation. It's an exercise that has been running more or less at parallel of our strategy development, and we are preparing to become a much more agile organization, to create opportunities and see where we can be ready, because we're 50 years old, so we need to get rid of some of our old habits to be ready for the future.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting, and you provided us sufficient details. I would like to ask you if you can expand a little bit. So you discussed about the 5 goals that are included in the ESA 2040 space strategy. And one of them has 3 sub-goals: circular economy, space, weather, and planetary defense, and climate change. I would like to ask you if you can expand a little bit on the measures regarding space sustainability on Earth. So not on space, but on Earth. What kind of activities and projects is ESA involved? How are these projects also coordinating with the European Union? How does they relate with the European Union Space Act proposals, for example? Thank you.
Perfect. So, and I mean, you mean more about climate change, right? And sustainable use of resources. Yes. So, this has been something very clear to our narrative. We believe, first of all, just so everybody knows here, Europe is warming twice as fast as any other parts on the planet there. So this is something that it is very important for Europe to make sure that we're in a sustainable world. We have warm weather in Europe, even though we're very north in latitude, and it is because of the jet stream. So if climate change affects what we're doing here, it's going to affect us a lot. Now, what we're doing, first of all, we started last ministerial and CM22. We launched what we call a digital twin Earth. So the idea it is to gather, we record around 250 terabytes of data of Earth observation every day. So the idea is using this data to create much better decisions for policymaking. So all of this data is coming here. We have something that it is called the Future EO program, and what we do is we launch new missions that help us visualize new ways of understanding our planet and the climate. So these become precursors to different missions that help us here. Regarding to our internal work, we launched what it is called the ESA Green Agenda. It is our path to sustainability, and it is something that actually is also in my department. And what we're doing, it is trying to ensure that we're not just taking nice photos and everything, but we are a sustainable organization and leading by example. Regarding to the work with the European Union and the new Space Act, we also have a team that, from my team, actually, our Chief Sustainability Officer has been participating into this to be able to communicate.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting. I love that one of your strategies is about inspiring people. I'm a science communicator and I love space, and I think every single person in this room loves space, but I think there's a very large proportion of the world that are afraid of space, or they're intimidated by it. So when it comes to inspiring, how do you propose to break down those barriers in order for people to get the wider message of why space inspires?
So I think we have different approaches and angles, and I think that it would be great to have our head of communications, and Sophie, to explain a bit more of the whole strategy. But we are working very closely. For example, we work with Playmobil to have the ESA little Playmobiles. We're trying to work also with the toy makers. We also work with Panini, that it was able to do kind of like an album for kids, to put their stamps. But this is just one step. We're also working closer with social media creators and everything to go into, being hip, to talk to young people. But at the same time, we're trying to diversify and talking to people who are generally not space. And I think this is an important point we need to be able to explain. Then we have also the political aspects. Many times we have great politicians who understand the connection between space and what we're doing, but many times we don't, and then they don't see how the situation is, right? This was not a politician, but it was a colleague of mine, a friend, who asked me, like, can you explain me why are we launching satellites if I have a GPS on my phone? And it was like, well, because the GPS is not on your phone, right? It's just sensing. So there's a lot of these broken links that we need to be able to do. And if we show them that at the end of the day, your food arrives on time is because of navigation, and your food, it is healthy because of the satellites, on all of these things is something that starts to get much more closer. Because we get people who are really eager and excited about space, but we get people who are more pragmatic, and they're going to tell me, why do I need to spend money into that? So we need to find a balance to communicate that.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Actually, you talked about talent and the future, actually. So I was wondering, do you have anything that actually ensures inclusivity and diversity, whether it's like minorities or like gender or, underrepresented groups?
Sure. So by default, ESA is very diverse with 23 countries. So this is very diverse, but we also have our Chief of Diversity Officer that it is working into this aspect. You must have seen a photo we got there. It is John McFall. It is the first para-astronaut. So we're thinking about how we can really bring diversity into multiple layers, and how we can really consider diversity not just about it is sex or religion or anything, but it is encompassing everything. And as I said, this is something that really benefits to us. We are talking, for example, of bringing people with disabilities. We have also people with different backgrounds. And at the same time, I think that it is important to highlight that we are very strong in leadership represented from the female side. I think we get between 30 to 40% of female in the executive board. So we are really, of course, it's always more. It's a constant thing, like Kaizen. We cannot stop there, but we're working into this direction.
Okay, there's only time for one quick questions.
Thank you. So we mentioned sustainability for Earth. So I have a question for the sustainability on space. How do you view that the inequality on the global or space orbit resource? Because right now, major space powers are mostly the launching of the satellites and ownership from in major space powers like China, US, and Europe, right? Is it possible for us to get a global tax and then make a global space governance fund and make more accessible or equitable access to those developing countries to get the space service?
So I didn't grab the question, sorry.
So the question is it possible for US, China, or Europe to set up a global tax fund and use it to help the developing countries to get the global service? Because right now the orbits are limited. It might be limited and all those orbits are occupied by China, US, and Europe.
That's a very interesting question. I am not sure if I'm the correct person to answer because I'm not China or US. But when we're talking about sustainability in space, we're working very close, and I get a couple of colleagues here of operations here on the space traffic management, and this is something very important. And at the same time, we also, at ESA, we launched what it is the Zero Debris Charter, and it is to include a lot of companies and countries to sign to ensure that, first of all, the majority of our missions can be or returned to Earth or refuel to make sure that we are not kind of just polluting this point. Regarding to how we handle this fund, I think, I'm sorry, it's beyond my realm. Perfect. Thank you, everybody.